I have always been jealous of the people who always knew what their purpose was in life before they even started their careers. I mean, that would be nice, but that wasn't me. And it's very likely, if you are watching this video, that it's probably not you. And if you are on social media or any kind of media, you probably have heard that find your purpose, find your dharma, live your passion, and you will never work a day in your life. Look at movies like Eat, Pray, Love. And so many people I personally know in my life have been on that Eat, Pray, Love kind of a journey to self-discovery. But is such a journey always necessary when you want to find your purpose or your dharma? Before we go there, let's really think about what is purpose. And then let's also talk a bit about dharma. In my books, purpose is when awareness and action create something bigger than yourself. So you want to be aware of what you are doing and you want to take obsessive action to create something not for your tiny ego, but for a bigger cause than yourself. And in that process, you find yourself. And finding yourself is a loaded concept. Everyone talks about it. And honestly, there are various definitions of finding yourself. In the highest sense, I would say finding yourself is the only purpose that any human being has on this planet. But of course, finding yourself could also mean understanding what are your values, what are your interests, what do you want to do, what is it that you want your life to mean at the end of your life, and then aligning all your life's work towards that mission. And that mission could simply be, I want to live a happy life. Or it could simply be, I want a happy family and not many distractions. I want to earn enough to make both ends meet and live comfortably. So personally for me, that purpose you have to define. And that is the meaning of purpose almost. That is the meaning of finding yourself. You give meaning to yourself. Now coming to dharma, and you probably have heard purpose and dharma linked very closely together. And it's a really interesting concept for me. Dharma as a word gets taken out of context in all sorts of purposes. Sometimes people who are talking about dharma have no idea what they are talking about. But as an Indian, and dharma being a Sanskrit word, I personally have some perspectives on this word and what its meaning is. Dharma, in very technical terms, means the property or the characteristics of an object, of that person. Now, for example, think about the dharma of water. The dharma of water is that it freezes at 0 degrees Celsius, it boils at 100 degrees Celsius, it's generally colorless, it's made of hydrogen and oxygen, and one of its purposes is to quench thirst. But that's not its only purpose. You can use the properties of water to quench thirst. Water is also not the only thing that will quench thirst. So when you think about purpose and dharma separately, you realize that you are really leaning into your characteristics as the person who you are, which is why looking at your values and your interests is absolutely critical to this, because your values and your principles and your interests will guide you towards knowing what your dharma is. And dharma is really literally the unchangeable characteristic of that person, rather than things that come and go. For example, my interest in filmmaking could be a passing phase, or my interest in cooking gourmet food could be a passing phase. But my interest in finance has actually stayed with me for a long time, and you can call it my dharma. My interest in technology has stayed with me for a long time. My interest in literature has stayed with me for a long time. So that's dharma. So think about who you were when you were a child. And I know everyone says this. What is it that you really enjoyed doing? And don't think about it like I wanted to become an astronaut. What is the underlying of this? What made you want to become an astronaut? Was it the math? Was it the space? Was it your teacher? Was it something else? What made you want to become that? And what is that pattern that is constantly repeated in your life? And that can only come from self-reflection. So very much like water, you might have a certain dharma and you might use that dharma to fulfill a certain purpose. So yeah, your dharma will take you towards your purpose, but by no means is your dharma your purpose. So let's bring this back to life a bit. For example, the dharma of a software programmer is probably that they really like logic. They have always been good at meddling with things, and they have been good at doing that for a long time. And it's become so ingrained in them that that's become their identity. That's who they are, and that becomes your dharma. That dharma then lends itself to the bigger purpose of, okay, so this person now becomes a software engineer. So dharma is very intricately connected with purpose. Dharma is the nature of the thing that leads to the purpose. And if you don't know your nature, your true self, your values, your interests, how do you define the dharma of you? And if you can't do that, how do you define what is it that you could be of best use in this world for? If this makes sense, drop me a yes below, because I recognize that this is a bit technical. If you understand that your purpose and your dharma are really intricately linked, you need to understand why is it so difficult for us to find our purpose, to find our dharma. Here's the deal. Both of these concepts that I talked about are very abstract. They're not like the 2 + 2 in math that will make 4 and always 4. It's not even like a compound interest that I can talk about and show you on an Excel spreadsheet about how much money that you could make if you continuously invested and compounded your money year on year. This is more subjective. This is more personal. This is more abstract, which is why it's very difficult to get a sense of what it really means. And then you add to it the continuous noise that we live in. Technology has pervaded all angles of our life. Like, how many times do we even get a moment in true silence? Unless we are meditating or are in a shower, we rarely have any moments of silence in our lives. You walk down the supermarket, you go to the gym, you always have a podcast on, an audiobook on, something on, and while you are learning, you're training your intellect, you are not training your awareness. And that is where the challenge is, that you need to become aware to find your purpose. You need to be self-aware. And the self-awareness only comes after you have sat in silence or stood in silence or walked in silence, just being in silence for a while. After all of your haphazard thoughts have come and gone, and then there's a period of silence beyond which you start finding yourself. And then the third reason why finding your purpose is so difficult is because people want to connect purpose with money. And sometimes it is related to money, but sometimes it's not. Sometimes your purpose could just be that I want to be a good person, live a whole and happy life, and that's it. That's my purpose. And the moment we start making purpose bigger than what it really is, there's a problem. If you want to make money, follow your leverage, not your purpose. Your purpose is different from your leverage. Your leverage is that you are a good programmer, you write good code, maybe you have a career in software engineering, and that is what makes you money. If you have multiple things, for example, for me, I know I am a tech nerd, I'm a finance nerd, which makes it really easy for me to decide for a career in financial services within AI technologies. It could look quite different for you depending on your skill sets, your dharma. Ask me what my dharma is. I know that I enjoy technology, I enjoy personal finance, I enjoy finance, I enjoy personal development. But if you ask me what my purpose is, it's just to find myself. And if you ask me what my purpose is, in this society? Maybe it's just to be a corporate senior leader or a mom. And that's okay. I don't need my purpose to be anything bigger than that. But I still need money coming into my bank account so that I can live a happy and healthy life. And my leverage allows me to do that. So yeah, while there's wisdom in finding your dharma, finding your purpose, I would say that if you simply want money, follow your leverage. And I'll also say this, that only when you feel sufficiently abundant in your life, then you start asking these big questions about what is the purpose of life. So the first thing that you can do to find your purpose is make money, become financially abundant. Feel that abundance. Don't live in scarcity. You are resourceful enough to always make both ends meet. And then start creating space. Space in terms of space in your diary. We all have cramped diaries. I have a cramped diary, but the only way to cut a cramped diary is by creating space in that diary. So start creating space in your diary, and then start creating physical spaces where you can be yourself, you can be reflective on who is it that you really are, where you don't need that noise to follow you around. This is one of the key reasons why I prefer boxing or swimming, because it engages my whole body and mind, and I can't be distracted during that time. And then the third thing I believe that's worth doing is finding your tribe. And when you are younger, finding your tribe is easier, because you go to school, you play sport, you have your family around. But as I have grown up, I have found that finding my tribe has taken a lot longer. But very interestingly, I have found my tribe on the internet, on the communities that I'm a part of, on the business groups that I'm a part of, and actually the Abundance Psyche community. And if you are someone who's looking to find your tribe, come join the Abundance Psyche community, because people are extremely supportive of each other. And across all of social media, YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, my blog. And if you want to become an insider to my emails, come and join me using one of the fun quizzes below. And if you want to talk to me personally, please drop me an email at sudeshna@theabundancepsyche.com and mention the word Dharma in your subject line. And if you enjoyed this video, please leave it a like and a comment, and a subscription would be fantastic. And if you enjoyed this video, you might like this or this, and I'll see you the next time. Bye.